Ladies and gentlemen, 70%, nearly 70% of GOP voters stand behind Trump amid indictment and investigations, okay? It's actually a lot higher than that, but if you look, only 80% of Democrats, 81%, back Biden for 24, okay? You have roughly the same amount, of Republicans backing Trump. And the reason is because Biden, the current president we have, is presiding over a catastrophe in terms of foreign policy, an invasion under his watch. We're 90 seconds to midnight, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. We're closer than ever to a nuclear confrontation and, God forbid, annihilation. We have inflation at 6 to 8%. Biden took over. It was around 2%. And inflation for food, rent, oil and gas is far more than 6 to 8%. Okay. Crime, homelessness is rampant throughout every major city, especially a city run by Democrats. The country is in a far worse position than it ever was with Trump. You had Democratic governors tanking their state economy, shutting down society gleefully during Trump's last term in office. That caused toilet paper runs. Now we have bank runs because Democrats pushed for, and what was Trump supposed to do? Say, no, you know what? You can't work in your state because the governor, the Democratic governor, shut down your economy. So we're not going to give any stimulus. What was he supposed to do? So that's not a Trump policy. None of that, his last year in office, really none of it was linked to Trump's policies or vision of the economy. It was all Democrats in their usual apoplectic reaction to a serious issue. Just like when they pumped 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves after they pontificate about the environment and go after oil and gas companies. And then Biden's sued by the oil and gas associations. Within the lawsuit, they state, hey, your policies are going to make it difficult for us to extract oil and gas, and also inflation is going to skyrocket. And what happened? Inflation went through the roof. And again, Biden took over as 2% inflation. There's an article in one of the big political magazines the other day about, how conservatives are trying to break down society. And there's a big specter of civil breakdown. And it's like the media lives in a world where there wasn't $1 to $2 billion in property damage, 14,000 arrests and 19 lives lost that summer before January. And I respect and I support why people demonstrated peacefully. But it's not even a comparison between the chaos and mayhem emanating from the Democratic Party and their rhetoric and their ideals and their looking the other way and Trump. It's not even, you can look at the Dobbs decision and what took place with Kavanaugh and what took place with churches and buildings being torched to the ground and vandalized. Media just looks the other way and focuses on the one or two instances where there's an ideological link between Trump Republicans and chaos and mayhem. But 14,000 arrests linked to that summer. Again, when people peacefully demonstrated, I was for that 100%. But not 14,000 arrests. Show me where 14,000 arrests are linked to the Republican Party or to Trump. Because you did have Democrats saying, get in people's faces. So you have a situation where there's a complete double standard, but there's like this amnesia, this political amnesia in our country. When they look at Trump, people say, well, how can anyone vote for him? He was a great president. We had record low poverty with Trump. We had the Doha Agreement, Abraham Accords. The Doha Agreement, Biden completely botched. Those 13 Americans should be alive today. Those over 100 Afghans should be alive today. Biden completely, I was called for a May 1st, 2021 withdrawal. You could draw a T-chart. Things that happened and accomplishments and negatives during Trump, and accomplishments and complete catastrophes during Biden. Okay, tell me what good Biden has done. I don't know anything that he's done this good. Like literally, maybe one thing from a foreign policy perspective, initially, but that was Trump that allowed that to happen. That's another story. But really, there's nothing major that's good. Nothing major. Trump removed Americans from numerous regions of the world. Okay, the Doha Agreement was just one agreement. That's why I voted for Trump for foreign policy. I remember that one rebuttal from a person I told him years back. I said, you know what? Look, man, I'm voting for foreign policy. In addition to other issues, he's a good president. And, Americans are... I don't want Americans patrolling Damascus, and I don't want Americans, in Afghanistan forever. I don't want to... And the rebuttal is, well, they're not being attacked. I'm like, what? Yes, they are. And even if there was a momentary peace or quiet, why would you have America? See, that's the average Democratic Party voter doesn't care about foreign policy, or at least the foreign policy that I care about. I don't want Americans everywhere in the world in regions of conflict. They don't care. They care about tweets. Democratic voters care about tweets. Really, I mean, a lot of them will just vote blue no matter who, so they'll find a reason to despise Trump. Okay? In terms of foreign policy, Trump was infinitely better. Our foreign policy, our military might is tied to our economic might. Okay? We still have the greatest military in the world, but the economy stinks. We shut down economic activity because of bureaucrats that Rand Paul and others are going after now, because of media. Media has been consistently wrong on every major topic. You could really start from WMD and then all the way to Clinton winning in a landslide, to Trump and the hysteria over Trump and him being an operative of the Kremlin. None of this was true. So 70% of Americans don't trust media, which is one, I think, Pew Research statistic, and also 70% of Republicans are always going to back Trump. The entire Republican Party is a Make America Great Again party. It's a populist conservative party. It's a Rand Paul, Donald Trump type of political party. It's not a Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney. People don't want that anymore because they don't want never-ending wars, and they don't want another side of the same type of president as President Obama or Clinton or Hillary Clinton or Biden. And so hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Go to HAGoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, and other publications. To my super thanks, that's below, to the like and the share buttons. Next to the like and the share buttons, go to... The link is below. Also, the Patreon to my new Patreons. Thank you. If you want to email me, it's contactgoodman88@gmail.com. Go ahead and email me to become part of a newsletter. And ladies and gentlemen, 70% of GOP voters stand behind Trump amid indictment. Well, they also know that the indictment's political. See, here's something that media doesn't see. And they don't want to, they either don't want to see it, they can't see it, or they can't acknowledge what's taking place. The corruption... Let's just say you don't believe this. The average American sees, if they're really into politics, they'll see Hunter, they'll see Joe, they'll see Hillary with private servers and top secret intel siphoned to top private servers. They'll see Hunter and a litany of felonies. They'll see the New York Post being suspended. And tell me a publication that Trump censored. Okay, the censorship, all of that is coming from the left to the right. It's not the right to the left, or liberals to conservatives. You also have a public relations monstrosity. You have late night. You can't even enjoy, I had Johnny Carson and Arsenio Hall growing up. It was fantastic. You could take a break from politics. You could have taken a break from politics just 5-6 years ago. Now you can't. And the Democratic Party is actually on the ropes, really. They need every single advantage 24/7 a day. If they don't have Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers, and they don't have the Washington Post and New York Times and MSNBC and CNN and Vanity Fair and Esquire and Rolling Stone and all of these publications and loyalists in the government and tech and Hollywood, if they don't have all of that, that 70% with Trump goes to 95%, almost 100%. Trump's running a 4-2-40 with a 100-pound backpack in terms of politics. Okay, imagine if Trump is indicted in New York and only 100% negative media coverage, and he has 70% support And Biden's completely propped up every second of the day, and he has 80% support. Imagine what would take place if media was impartial. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe